Welcome back everyone. Today, we're continuing with the next part of this series, called What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans? My name is Ash. Please, for me, drop a like and subscribe to the page. Also leave your comments down below. With that, let's begin. 3 years after the Cell Games, the desert air was dry, crackling with tension and raw energy. Bardock's body flipped backward in midair, the sand swirling beneath him as a heavy fist cut through the space where his chest had been a second earlier. Kakarot didn't let up. His boots barely skimmed the air as he launched a rapid-fire barrage of punches and kicks toward his son, each strike sharp as lightning, every blow meant to test, push, teach. But Bardock wasn't backing down. He twisted in midair, eyes narrowing. Kakarot vanished in a blink, instant transmission, and reappeared directly overhead. Without wasting a moment, the older Saiyan dropped like a hammer, delivering a brutal double-legged dropkick straight down. Crack! The hit landed flush. Bardock slammed into the earth with a deafening boom, a shockwave bursting outward as the ground cracked and cratered beneath him. Sand and stone exploded into the air. Floating above, Kakarot crossed his arms and grinned. Had enough yet? His voice echoed down like thunder, teasing, but laced with fatherly challenge. The crater below was silent. Then, boom! Rocks blasted in all directions. A pulse of golden light erupted from within, tearing through the dust. Bardock rose into the air, eyes glowing white, aura spiking violently around him. His hair spiked higher, sharper, his energy howling like a storm. Super Saiyan Iki. Without a word, Bardock exploded forward. Whoa! Kakarot's eyes widened. He flickered with energy and powered up past the first level instantly. Super Saiyan 2 unleashed in a white-hot flash. But even at lightning speed, he was too slow. Bam! Bardock's punch hit him dead center in the face before he could react. Kakarot's head snapped back from the impact, and his body flipped once, twice, before catching himself midair. His boots skidded through the sky, energy rippling around him. Kakarot let out a breath. Then he smiled. I guess that means you're done with the warm-up. Bardock's voice came low and confident. I am. If you are. Boom! They collided in a blinding burst of speed and sound. Fist met fist. Foot blocked kick. They blurred across the sky, fighting at speeds no eye could follow. Kakarot shifted slightly, hands deflecting a series of wild, lightning-fast strikes. So, I see all that time in the lab with your mom hasn't kept you from training too much. You kidding? Bardock grunted, his foot sweeping low, then rising in a tight arc for a high kick. Kakarot ducked under it. I upgraded my gravity belt. Figured that'd make up for the training time I lost while you and Uncle Raditz were out breaking mountains. Huh, Kakarot smirked. Well, it worked. But remember, you've got to be more than just a fighter. Study a little each day or I'll send you to school. Bardock scoffed mid-swing. I know. I just don't want to fall behind. You won't. Kakarot parried a blow, then twisted into a sidestep. Between you and your mom building new gear, you're probably already ahead of Vegeta. That made Bardock pause, but only for a second. Suddenly, flash, he vanished. Kakarot sensed it too late. Crack! A fist smashed into the back of his head, sending him hurling forward. He twisted with the motion, catching himself in mid-spin and flipping upright. Nice one. Kakarot chuckled, and then he launched himself forward again, into the next exchange. Several hours later, Capsule Corp. The sun was dipping low over West City as the father-son duo descended onto the Capsule Corp lawn. Their clothes were in shreds, burned and ripped at every seam. Small trails of smoke still rose from their shoulders. That was a good fight, Kakarot said, stretching his arms behind his back with a loud crack. You've definitely gotten stronger. I don't know, Bardock said, brushing dirt off his chest. I still feel like I'm losing my edge. Kakarot gave a warm laugh. Kid, you're way stronger than I was at your age. Don't get bummed just because I can keep up. If anything, it means I can still help you train. And if Earth gets hit with another threat, he grinned, eyes narrowing. I can't let you have all the fun like you did with Cell. Bardock cracked a small smile. Yeah, like fighting Cell was fun. He paused. Well, maybe a little. They stepped onto the patio as the sliding glass door opened with a soft hiss. How was your fight, boys? Bulma's voice came with a smile. She walked out in a tank top and jeans, holding a tray with water bottles. 4-year-old Trunks toddled out beside her, clinging to her leg. It was all right. Kakarot said casually, though the cuts on his face and arms said otherwise. Bulma gave both of them a look, her eyebrows raised at the shredded clothes and bruises. Who won this time? It was a draw, Bardock muttered, disappointed. I really thought I had him. You know he won't make it easy on you? Bulma smirked. Daddy, will you train me now? Trunks tugged on Kakarot's pant leg, so hard the already torn fabric ripped a little more. Kakarot chuckled and knelt beside the boy, ruffling his lavender hair. Sure, Squirt. Girl. His stomach growled louder than a dinosaur. Right after dinner, he added sheepishly, Can I enter the tournament with you and Bardock? Trunks asked, bouncing with energy. Maybe next time, Bulma said quickly. You just started training. I don't want you to get hurt. She's right, Kakarot added. You've only been training for a month. You've got to get way stronger before you're ready to fight the best in the world. Okay, Daddy, Trunks pouted, then perked up. I'll cheer for you from the stands. What about me? Bardock asked with a smirk. Trunks grinned. I'll cheer for you too, but not if you fight Daddy. Elsewhere, Raditz's dojo. The air was thick with sweat and effort. Raditz stood silently, arms crossed, over a row of 5 humans dropping to the floor beneath him, each one dripping with exhaustion. They were his students, dressed in white martial arts G's with the Saiyan symbol for strength stitched onto their chests. Raditz's own outfit was stark black, no sleeves, no undershirt, simple, fierce. He never imagined himself running a fighting school. At first, the idea made him scoff. He was a warrior, not a babysitter. But his pride wouldn't let him live off Kakarot and Bulma forever. Not now. Not with the world at peace. If he wasn't saving the universe, then he'd make a living the only way he knew how, through battle. One of the students, panting, collapsed to his knees. I can't do anymore. He'd hit 500 push-ups. Barely. Only losers say can't. Raditz's voice hit the room like a cannon blast. His arms were crossed, standing tall and unshaken like a boulder in a storm. Eyes burning into the student now on his knees. True warriors push past limits. They break through. They go beyond. The words weren't empty. They were fire, but deep down, even if he didn't show it, Raditz was quietly impressed. These kids, all 5 of them, were still going. They weren't Saiyans. They weren't aliens. They were just regular humans. And yet, they were surviving a training level most of their species couldn't even stand upright in. Each of them wore a slim black belt around their waist, capsule corp gravity belts, a hot selling item in the world of fitness freaks and martial artists. Most models were locked at 2 times Earth's gravity. That was the legal safety limit, but not here. Raditz's dojo wasn't for the casuals. These students, they were training at 10x gravity. It pressed down on their muscles, bones, and lungs with invisible weight. Every push-up was like lifting a mountain, and yet, they kept going. That's what they'd paid him for. To suffer, to transform, to become warriors. 1,000! A voice broke through the heavy breathing. Raditz raised an eyebrow as Dabu, a tall, lean young man, barely past 20, stood up with shaking arms and drenched clothes. His body trembled, but his spirit didn't flinch. Raditz smirked. Did you hear that? He turned to the others, his voice rising. Dabu's already done, so why are the rest of you slacking off like jellyfish? The others groaned, but pushed harder. Dabu blushed, not wanting the attention. He didn't crave praise. All he wanted, deep down, was to stand tall like his brother Nam, the man who once fought in the World Martial Arts Tournament and brought hope back to their drought-stricken village. Dabu had grown up weak, frail, but now, he was determined to change that. He walked up to Raditz as the others kept working. Master, I've been thinking about entering the World Martial Arts Tournament this year. Do you think I have a chance at winning? Raditz paused. His eyes flicked over Dabu, measuring him, weighing his progress. For a human, the kid had guts, but still. Maybe someday, Raditz said, arms crossed again. But this year, he leaned down slightly, his tone flat and cold. I'm entering, and you wouldn't last 1 round against me. Dabu nodded slowly. I see. A small fire lit in his eyes. Well, I still think I'll enter. I want to see how far I can go. Raditz grinned, sharp as a blade. Good, just don't get crushed. Elsewhere, Satan Mansion Gym. Whap, whap, wham! Hercule, Satan grunted as he drilled his punching bag with wild elbows and looping kicks. Sweat poured down his forehead, his mustache crooked with strain. The World Martial Arts Tournament was only a week away, And this time, he wasn't just going to talk big, he was going to be big. Strapped tight around his waist was the shiny black and silver capsule, Corp Gravitron 500, humming faintly with every step he took. Right now, it was maxed out, 2 times Earth gravity, and Hercule was convinced it was turning him into a tank. "Ha!" he yelled, wiping his forehead. "This time, I'll prove I ain't no fake. This time, the world will know who really beat Cell. I am the champ," he growled to himself, throwing another punch. "And this time, I'll prove it." Back at Capsule Corp, Gravity Room. Inside the reinforced chamber of the Gravity Room, the very air shook. 750 times Earth gravity. Only one man stood upright, Prince Vegeta, clad in a sleeveless training suit, his body drenched in sweat, fists wrapped tight with focus. He breathed in short, calm bursts, his chest rising and falling like a machine that never broke down. Thud, thud, crack. He fired off a brutal flurry of kicks and mid-air rotations, pivoting into a spinning axe kick that slammed the floor. Without missing a beat, he shot a Kai blast across the chamber, then vanished. Instant rush. He appeared directly in front of his own blast and swatted it aside with the back of his hand. It ricocheted into the wall, but before it could explode, Vegeta warped back in front of it again, arms crossed. Boom! The blast hit him dead on. Smoke filled the room. When it cleared, he was still standing. His power was scorching. The tournament was coming up. And though he usually didn't care for fighting weaklings, this one mattered. He knew Kakarot would enter, and that fool Hercules still ran around claiming he'd beaten Cell. Vegeta didn't care much about Earthlings' lies, but Cell hadn't been his fight. He hadn't earned the right to shut Hercule up. "Still, I'll show them," Vegeta muttered, sparks dancing across his arms. "I'll show them all what a real warrior looks like." Hish! The chamber door hissed open and the gravity vanished. "Daddy! Daddy!" A tiny figure ran inside. His 4-year-old daughter, Celia. Her hair was a darker violet, and her energy, though small, pulsed with pure potential. Vegeta's brow twitched. "No," he said instantly. "You're not strong enough. You'd be crushed in this gravity." Celia stood her ground, arms folded. "Well, then just turn it down a little." Vegeta winced. He hated that she was getting clever. Smart kids were harder to control. "I thought your mother had you studying today," he said, deflecting. "She said I should spend some time with you." Celia stepped closer, her face hopeful. "Please, Daddy, can I please train with you?" Vegeta felt that familiar struggle rise again. His pride told him to keep training, to keep pushing, but he looked at her face. "Fine," he sighed, "but don't go crying when it gets too hard." Celia's smile lit up the room. "I won't, Daddy." Vegeta turned away, a small grin tugging at his lips. He hated how easily she won. The sky over the tournament grounds was cloudless and blue, the air buzzing with anticipation. The crowd was already forming, though most had no idea what kind of fighters were about to enter this year's ring. The sleek jetcopter landed gently on the platform near the entrance gates, its engines winding down. The side door slid open with a hiss, and Kakarot stepped out first, adjusting his orange gi, the wind tousling his hair. With a relaxed smile, he turned and reached back inside. He offered his hand to Bulma, who stepped out with grace, her hair bouncing lightly. Trunks, now just over 4 years old, didn't wait. He jumped down and hit the ground, running, literally. He zipped around in circles, laughing as he darted around his dad, mom, and older brother like a little energy bullet. "So," Bulma clapped her hands, "let's get you two registered." They made their way toward the long registration table near the entrance. Behind it sat a bald monk in a gray robe, checking off names and scribbling into a large ledger with practiced ease. "Next," the man called without looking up. "I'd like to enter," Kakarot said. The monk glanced up, and his eyes widened with recognition. "Oh, it's you," he said with a smile. "Good to see you fighting again, Kakarot." "Thanks," Kakarot replied, cheerful as always. "My son Bardock would also like to enter." The man raised an eyebrow, looking at the lean, confident 14-year-old standing beside him. "How old is he?" the attendant asked. 14. Normally, anyone under 16 has to be in the junior division," the monk explained, his pen pausing. "I promise you," Kakarot said with a calm grin, "he's plenty strong enough for the adult division." The monk studied the boy again, remembering the footage. That kid had faced off against Cell on live television. "I believe you," the man said. "I saw the early part of that Cell fight. Impressive. But I'll need you to sign a waiver for him. No problem, Kakarot said, taking the clipboard and scribbling his name like it was nothing new. Daddy! Trunks called, tugging on his dad's pants. Can I enter too? The attendant looked at him curiously. Would you like to enter your other son in the junior division? But fair warning, some of the kids are much older than him. Kakarot looked down at the boy. Can you promise to be careful and not hurt any of the other kids? Trunks scratched his head, thinking. He remembered breaking the living room table last week just by leaning on it too hard. I'll try not to, he said. I think it'd be best if you waited a few more years. Bulma interrupted, crouching beside him. Then we'll sign you up for the adult division. I doubt any of the kids would be a real challenge for you anyway. Okay, Mommy, Trunks said with a small sigh. Oh hey, Kakarot. The familiar voice came from behind. Krillin strolled up to the group, his usual cheerful energy intact. Walking beside him was a tall, striking blonde, 18. Her expression was cool, composed. The two looked oddly natural together. Hey, Krillin, Kakarot said. Hey, 18. 18 gave a subtle nod. Pleasure as always, she said politely. Deep down, there was still a strange pull when she saw him. The Saiyan she was once programmed to destroy. The instinct had faded, but not vanished. Bulma leaned in close, her eyes twinkling. So, are you two a couple now? Krillin rubbed the back of his head with a nervous laugh. We've been dating for a few weeks, taking it slow. You entering this year? Kakarot asked. Figured I'd give it a shot, Krillin replied. Just don't go too hard on me. All right, Kakarot smiled. We'll make it fun. That's all I ask, Krillin chuckled. Besides, someone's gotta wipe that smug look off Hercules Satan's face. A voice cut in, dry and sharp. Not if I blast him first. Vegeta had arrived. He stood tall beside Chi-Chi and their daughter, Celia, who gripped his glove as she looked up in wonder. Vegeta's presence sent a jolt through the area. Power practically leaked off him, even when he wasn't trying. You know you can't kill him, right? Bardock chimed in, half grinning. That's against the rules. Pity, Vegeta muttered. Guess I'll just save the blasts for you, brat. Bulma rolled her eyes and turned to Chi-Chi. Come on, let's go relax in the private box I rented while the muscleheads catch up. I'll join you, 18 said. You're not entering? Bulma asked as they walked away. 18 shrugged. I know I can't win against the guy who beat Cell, and unlike Krillin, I have no need to get beaten. Later, in the tournament arena. All right, one of the monks stepped onto a small stage. His voice rang out over the intercom. We've got over 200 contestants entering this year's World Martial Arts Tournament. There are only 16 open slots. A low buzz ran through the crowd. Since Hercules Satan is the reigning champion, he's automatically in. That leaves 15 spots. To qualify, each of you will strike the punching machine. The 15 highest scores will enter the tournament. The monk stepped aside. To kick things off, our world champion himself will set the bar. Hercule swaggered forward, his robe fluttering behind him as he walked with exaggerated confidence. He cast a nervous glance toward the area where the Z fighters stood. He squared his stance, raised his fist, and with a grunt, wham, he struck the machine. Score, 142. The monk called out. Hercules smirked. Hopefully, one of you gets over 100, just so it's worth watching. The line moved. Kakarot, the official called. Kakarot stepped up casually and tapped the machine with an open palm. Boom! The machine rattled, sensors blinking wildly. Score, 278, the monk said, his voice louder now. Looks like the former champ still packs a punch. The rest of the contestants stepped up, many of them Z fighters, each one holding back their true power. Still, scores in the 200s became the norm. Then came Vegeta. He had been pushed to the end of the line. Bad behavior. No surprise there. He didn't say a word, just stepped up, drew his arm back slightly. The machine exploded backward, slammed into the far wall, and crumpled into a smoking pile of circuits and twisted metal. The monk stared. That counts. He jotted it down quickly. This will be an interesting tournament indeed. The arena thundered with excitement. Flags fluttered above the giant ring as fans filled the stands. The sun gleamed overhead. The announcer, dressed in his signature shades and flashy blue suit, stepped forward with a booming voice. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Martial Arts Tournament, he declared. And we have one of the most exciting lineups in history. The crowd roared. The matches are as follows. He pointed to the big screen above the ring as it lit up with the bracket. Krillin versus Pintar. Yamcha versus Tien. Raditz versus Mighty Mask. Bardock versus Jewel. Yamu versus Piccolo,
Spopovich versus Hercule.
Kakarot versus Vegeta, Dabu versus Killa.
The rules are simple. The announcer continued. If you're knocked out, thrown out of the ring, or you give up, you lose. Everything else goes.
The stadium shook with energy.
And the real battles were about to begin.
And that's it for today's episode, guys. If you watched to the end, then that could be an indication that you enjoy the series. So please leave a like on the video. Thank you and take care.